Hey everyone. Listen, thanks for joining me back and thanks for your patience as I disappeared for, I think, a couple months now. Just had a lot going on with some family health issues and had to buckle down and practice what I preach and prioritize our well-being and some client deliverables for the time being. So I'm really happy to be back. For now, I'm just going to be back every second week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, just until things have really settled a bit more over here. And thanks for joining us back, because I'm really looking forward to getting to sort of see everyone who joins us so regularly. And today we are joined by Martin Buckland, who's an executive career coach. And we're going to be talking about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to be able to secure maximum attention from those who are hopefully going to be looking to hire you. So if you're here because you're unfortunately out of work, I know it's a tough economy and a lot of people have been dealing with unemployment right now, then I'm glad you're here. And I know that Martin, this is his expertise, and hope that his suggestions and ideas can help you and you can share your questions. If you're here, like I said in my post, because you want to leave where you are and you don't want anyone to know it, that's totally okay too. You can watch silently. I'm sure you can connect with Martin afterwards with any particular questions you have. And maybe you're just here, you're happy where you are, but you just are someone proactive who wants to be sure that your profile is maximized so that, who knows, maybe you get offered some great opportunity, or you're ready for whatever may happen in future. So thanks again for joining us. I'd love to hear that you're here. So if you just want to leave in the chat that you're here with us, where you're watching from, and I will go ahead and bring Martin in. Oh, wait, I didn't read his bio. So here, I'll bring Martin in. Oh, hey, Martin.
Hi, how are we doing?
Good, although I'm a little rusty at this. I have an echo here. Okay, let me try again. So we had some echo before. Oh, it seems gone. That was strange. I did absolutely nothing.
That's good.
Okay, I do hear it a bit. So for everyone listening, let me know. I'm going to try to plug in some headphones that were causing echo earlier. It's like I've forgotten how to use StreamYard. Sorry, Martin.
That's okay.
Okay, let me try that. Are you still hearing any echo?
No, that's better. That's better.
Okay, perfect. So if everyone with us can let us know if you're getting any echo, let me know and we'll try to figure that out. I feel like I still hear a bit. Okay, so I still hear it. Let me try this. I'm really good at tech, by the way, but my husband, I can hear him right at the other side. Okay, so Martin, let me go to your bio. Martin's a globally acclaimed executive career coach, executive resume writer, and subject matter expert in career management. Martin's helped thousands of executives and aspiring business leaders across the world to climb the corporate ladder, achieve C-level status, attract attention from executive recruiters, land the job they deserve, and outperform the competition. So I'd love maybe if you could just start off, for those who aren't familiar with you, sharing how you got into this line of work. And just before I do so, Imran's telling me the sound is good, so thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, so by trade, I'm a police officer. I was a London Bobby, then I was in the police over here. But because of a serious illness many, many years ago, I had to transition out. And I wasn't given any career transition services. So this will date me now, but I bought a 486 computer with the 5.25-inch floppy drive and whatever, DOS, not before Windows. And a friend asked me to type his resume, and the rest is history. So now I've written thousands and thousands of resumes or CVs, depending on where you are in the world. And I'm a global guy.
And you're a big proponent of using LinkedIn as a part of your business strategy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to be on LinkedIn, whether you're an entrepreneur, and definitely if you're a professional wanting to elevate your career or just manage your career, even if you want to remain lateral, you have to be on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, I say it as it is. I'm a tough coach. I'm really realistic. You are committing career suicide. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked last, so we have done a previous interview before, which is on my YouTube channel, Collaborative Solutions. We've also done, well, let me just find it here, a podcast interview here. You can go to
Right.
lindsaylapaquette.com/podcast, or just Google, Martin Buckland Workplace Communication Podcast, and that will pop up. But you have talked before about the importance of making sure that your profile and your resume are in top shape, even when you're not looking for a position.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you have to have them up to date, because you never know. Tomorrow, even in today's economy, they're still hiring. The world hasn't come to an end. A recruiter or somebody else of influence could tap you on the shoulder and say, Lindsay, where's your resume? I've just seen you on LinkedIn, or vice versa. I haven't seen you on LinkedIn, but I got your resume. So you need to be active in managing your career.
So I'm laughing kind of hard, Martin, because a client I work with on an ongoing basis, a corporation reached out and said to me, "Hey, we need your resume to send in with a proposal." I'm hanging my head in shame, because the last time I did my resume was, oh gosh, I don't know, 15 years ago. And I said to her, "Okay, I'll get it to you. I'm going to need a bit of time. And please don't judge me on how terrible it is," because
Yeah.
so I didn't take your advice when we last spoke. And
There you go.
yeah, so to everyone listening, maybe heeding Martin's advice in advance, we'll get you out of that situation I was in, to try to throw together a resume last minute. So, all right. So moving on, today we're going to be talking about optimizing LinkedIn profiles. So maybe can you just take us from the start? I guess maybe assuming that most of the people watching are already on LinkedIn. What would be some of the first things that you'd suggest that people be
Sure.
doing?
Well, it's a platform. It's not unlike a resume, which is 2 or 3 pages. You can scroll down and it's pageless. So you need to fill it right out. I have a sort of table here on the number of characters per space in or per section in LinkedIn, but you need to fill it out, and it's for free. I would also suggest that you subscribe to the premium if you really are serious about managing your career. Gives you extra bells and whistles. But this is the crux of what you need to have instantly. As soon as you have your LinkedIn profile, you need to have a photograph. Now, a professional photograph. I'm not interested in a photograph of you carrying your fishing catch or hugging your spouse or your kids. It has to be a professional photograph. And with the advent of cell phones today, you can get your friend or your spouse to take a good picture of you and put that on there. You also need to customize your LinkedIn address. Now, your LinkedIn address, when you sign up for LinkedIn, they'll give you numbers and letters after your name. And I can tell that you haven't spent the 2 minutes, 3 minutes in customizing that. Why? Is because as soon as you take those numbers and letters out after your name, Google, in its algorithm visits to your LinkedIn profile for free, because remember, Google is trawling the internet all the time, will give you a 400% uplift. And then your photograph, if you don't have a photograph, but then you put a photograph on, that will give you an extra 1400% Google algorithm update. So in other words, just for those 2 things, and they take you 2 minutes to do, you can raise your Google ranking, your Google algorithm visits by 1800 for free. So you need to do that. Then I would also suggest you have a picture behind your portrait picture, and there's various royalty-free picture websites. You don't have to spend a fortune. You don't even have to spend a cent or a penny. You can download something that's pertinent to you, your industry, your trade, your skills. And then, as I say, fill it right out, because it's a platform. And the more you fill it out, here again, we're coming back to Google. Google will visit and it'll pick up on those keywords. And hopefully we'll talk about that in this topic here today. The more you fill it out, the more chances, if a recruiter is looking for you or an HR professional looking for talent with your skill set, the high you want to be number one. You want to always be in that talent pool. So the more you fill it out, the better it's going to be for you.
Hmm. So I will say that sometimes I'm looking for some of my own stuff to share with a client. And I mean, we track that, but sometimes the easiest way to find it is to Google it. It's way faster than me digging
Sure.
through our records. And when I do, it's not rare that, so I often will post, like, let's say a blog post on LinkedIn and on my blog, I'll
Right.
post it as an article, but the LinkedIn will come higher in the ratings. So it's interesting what you're saying about it being ranked higher.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
when you Google somebody's name, it's always number 2 or number 3 because that's the way
it's true,
they
right?
pay Google to be at that position. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so what else can you recommend to people in terms of helping them stand out as they're filling in the different sections? So I know, maybe let's start with the headline. I find the headline, I am not
Yeah.
a short form communicator. I
Yeah.
find the headline tough.
So this is your headline. This is your chance to sell or tell the world exactly who you are. So it's your basically your unique promise of value. It's your personal brand, your proposition, or a selling statement in 220 characters. They've just increased it in the last, I'm going to say, year from 120 to 220. So that allows you a lot more. So that is where we view from the top. We'll see a photograph, and then we'll go down to this headline, and then that's another sales proposition, and then we'll scroll further. But you need to sell yourself, and then if you are in career transition, I was doing a podcast, my own podcast or my own webcast, LinkedIn Live yesterday. It's not an offense to be in career transition today. Tell the world that you are in career transition and looking for your next opportunity or challenge, because there are people, there are talent hunters, executive recruiters, HR professionals looking for you right this minute.
So can you maybe contrast, and maybe if this is okay with you, maybe I can offer to those listening, if you want to throw your headline into the chat here and have Martin, give you some suggestions or some advice on that. I don't know if you're willing to do that, Martin.
Well, sure. Yeah, and I'm always willing to give anybody a free, no obligation audit, LinkedIn audit, and a resume critique as well. So yeah, send that afterwards, and we can have a chat some
Okay.
other time. Yeah.
Okay, so we will, hang on, let me throw your website up here. Where would that be? Which one? An elite resume
Annually
or?
resume. Annually resume.
Okay, so here is where you can find Martin if you're interested, or obviously on LinkedIn, Martin Buckland, you can find him there also. But can you maybe contrast for us as we're going, what a good headline would look like versus one that's not quite as good or isn't going to attract as much attention?
I should have brought some up with me, but use the English language is so beautiful, so resonating. It's your brand, it's your sales proposition. So you need to, in that 220 characters, which actually isn't very long, you need to develop a very compelling, a very striking, seductive statement about yourself. Don't leave it weak and don't leave it blank. More and more people I'm seeing are leaving it blank. Well, you're missing out on opportunities.
Well, especially because that headline shows up anytime you comment, or at least a piece of it does, right? I don't know how many characters, but the first little bit shows up. So every time your name pops up, people can reassociate with, oh, that's
Exactly.
what that person does. And so interestingly, the other day somebody posted something about what they do. And I realized it's somebody who I've seen very active on LinkedIn. And I realized that I have no clue what they do for work, even though I've read bazillions of their posts, and then went to the headline and still wasn't super clear. And frankly, because I don't know what you do, I'm not really that interested in our, do I maybe need your work? So I didn't bother even clicking to investigate further. But all that to say, if you're on there trying to either get somebody to buy your services or to hire you, you don't want them to have to do that extra work, I guess.
No. Yeah. So that's the headline, and then of course there's a multitude of other stuff down below.
Okay, so let me just interject before we go on to there. We have someone, the name's not coming through. It says LinkedIn user. And I think there's a way on StreamYard. I have to hunt this down, how people can authorize their name to come through if you wanted to. But they're asking, what if you don't have a brand? So I'm not sure if you're speaking particularly to the headline here or just LinkedIn in general, but can you give your thoughts on that there?
Yeah, well, I'm really passionate about personal branding. So everybody has a brand. you know the corporate brands, and then everybody wandering around the streets and living in other countries has a brand. You need to define that. So basically, in a nutshell, I'll boil it down. What is your unique promise of value? What is your value add? What is your competitive edge? Give me a compelling statement, a resonating statement on why if I was in a hiring position, should choose you. So you need to think about your brand. You do have that viewer does have a brand. I mean, I'm more than happy to spend 10 or 15 minutes just chatting with him or her to go through and maybe analyze where they need to go and how to develop a brand.
Okay. And so how about somebody who's either maybe in a position and looking to change positions, I don't know, into a new industry or a new role, or somebody who's worked in one industry and is looking to change? How would you suggest they present their profile in a way that both reflects their experience, but also in terms of, the way they're describing where they want to go to make that really clear? Do you have any tips on
Well,
that?
in that statement up the top there, they need to say, well, I'm looking for my next challenging opportunity, transitioning from supply chain to sales or vice versa or whatever. And then instantly, somebody looking at your profile will instantly say, oh, I know, you snap on it. And, you never know. Everybody viewing your profile has leads, has a network. So you need to take advantage of those. The one good thing, was another tip you need to address here. If you've got premium, you can see who's visited your profile. So you need to go and look every day, once a day, twice a day, and look and see who's visited your profile. I always say, oh, hi, Joe. Hi, Mary. Thanks for visiting my profile. How may I help you? Because that's very proactive. And if you see an executive recruiter or an HR professional, somebody you think is on the hunt for talent, snap it right there. Send them a message. And if you are in career transition, tell them you're in career transition.
Okay. And what do you say? So I hear a lot of people saying that they feel uncomfortable or awkward reaching out to someone they don't know. And so do you have any suggestions on that there?
Yeah, so we're in a world, we're in a network world. There's only a few percentile, depending on where you are. Each country is different, but only a few percentile of jobs are advertised. The rest is hidden. So you need to get your name out there as much as you can. Privacy, I totally understand privacy, or wherever you are in the world, but you need to come out of that shell. It's like anything. The further you stick your head above the water, the more opportunities will come your way.
Mm.
And if you are gainfully employed and you don't have a full profile, you can take your profile offline and then start each week, add a little bit so it doesn't raise the hackles at your employer. Well, why are you doing this or whatever? Because you don't want to do that. They can't fire you for being on LinkedIn, but they can make your life uncomfortable. So you can gradually do a little bit each week and add to your profile.
That's some good advice, because that's a tricky space to navigate, to manage both, being in a current role and not red flagging that you're trying to get out. So I like what you're saying about sort of progressively doing it so it kind of flies under the radar.
Yeah.
Here's me, I'm all about transparent communication, saying, "Yay, that's awesome," but I mean the reality is,
yeah,
I get it.
don't be overt. If the further you stick your head above the water, the more opportunities are going to come your way. And this is a platform where I think the last 647 million people are on. Yeah.
Well, and I also think the dynamics are a bit different, because when I first came to LinkedIn, I'd really only been on Facebook, where I wasn't reaching out to strangers because my personal life was on Facebook, right? I have photos of my kids. I have things I don't want just random people seeing necessarily. And so I brought that mentality to LinkedIn, and it took me a while to realize, oh, no, this isn't the same thing at all. And
Right.
shooting off a message to just anyone is sort of, to me at least, seems like the standard much more. So I just do want to open it up for anyone listening. If you have any specific questions for Martin, to please go ahead. Do you have any more suggestions in terms of the profile, like the meat of the content that should be there? So I know there's like an about section, and then there's I can't remember what it's called, but an experience or something like that section. And it wasn't, to me, clear at first what the difference between the two
Yeah.
It
So,
was.
so I said, fill it right out. So the About Us lets you have 2,200 characters. So I would suggest go to the full 2,200. Play with it when you reach that magic number 2,200. But this is another part of your selling proposition. Tell the world a little bit about yourself, person-wise, and your career. So this is also Google. Remember, Google is going to be your best friend. Google is your best friend in your career management overall. And then you need to start filling in the sections underneath. So I can, when I see what I call, this is my term, a skeleton profile. So it's very vague. It doesn't excite me, and it kind of upsets me as a coach, because I know that person, whoever they are, is missing out on opportunities. So sometimes I approach them, especially if they're in a hot skill set that's hot hiring, like supply chain or sales or whatever right now. And I approach them and say, look, you need to do your profile. You need to start filling it right out. So that About Us is 2,200. And then you come down to your employment. Now, this blows me away. I don't know why. I see resumes, and then I look at their LinkedIn, because as soon as somebody sends me as a resume, I go on to the LinkedIn profile when I do them a critique, or vice versa. I find them on LinkedIn, and then I get asked for their resume, although I'm not a recruiter. I just still can't fathom this out. Some clients, I'm going to say, some people, about 10%, have different company names, different positions, and different dates on their resume compared to their LinkedIn profile. Now, what message are you sending to a decision maker who could get you your next fantastic dream job if you've got different information on your resume and different information on your LinkedIn profile? And instantly, it tells me you're something wrong. There's something skewed in your mind. Yeah, and it just
Either
blows.
unintentional or poor organization. So I'm laughing really hard because when I did that resume, I did it by memory because I haven't done a resume in 15 years, right? And so I was like, gosh,
but you know all your employers.
But then I opened my LinkedIn. I just, happened to think as I just before I was sending it off, opened it up, and I was like, oh, the person would have been super confused because my years weren't matching up, and it was just because my poor memory. But so yeah, I completely hear what you're saying there, that it doesn't leave a best first impression. I can imagine that it maybe even looks like you're trying to portray things differently than they are, even if that's not your intent. So,
and you can understand once in a while, but this is frequent. This is probably, to me, it happens once in a week. I have to chuckle to myself. Well, where exactly is this person working? And what is their title? And how long have they been there? And all sorts of different things. I know, I've only had 2 employers, but I know the dates of when I was promoted and, shuffled around in the police. And it's crazy. Yeah.
You got a better memory than me.
Well, yeah, but you need to document your career as you go through. So this is a good tip as well. It's a bit off topic, but you need to have a brag book at home, and then you can document all your successes in star stories, because they're going to be hard for your performance, and then document your where you worked. The title of your position would be quite clear to me. What the title of your position, whatever's on your business card or whatever, or did have business cards, and what the name of the company and the dates you worked there. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Right. So you fill that section right out. That could be in a mature, seasoned professionals or business leaders. That could be very long. They could have had something like 15 different tenures. And then you have the skill sets. Now, this is very, very important. You have your skill sets on your resume, but you are allowed more on LinkedIn. You are allowed over 50 on LinkedIn, whereas on a resume, you can only have about 21 maximum. But on LinkedIn. So play a game with yourself when you're creating your profile. Well, if I was searching for myself, what business, functional, specific buzzwords would I type in to have my resume come out? So it's not It's not personal stuff. This is business. So if you're in sales, what type of sales? Are you B2B, B2C, B2G, B2E, distribution, channel? They're all the different sales proposition, different skill set. Selling to government is different to selling to a consumer, to selling to business. So they need to know that. So you need to have all those buzzwords that you think somebody would search for if they're looking for your talent.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
And use it right out. Don't have just 5 or 6. And those top 3 that they are in the white space before the rest of them are the 3 that you want Google to really pick up on. So they are the top 3 search skills that you have, and then the rest are also very important. But you can only have 3 that really will highlight that they get the extra Google uplift.
Oh, that makes sense. I hadn't thought of that because I sometimes rotate mine because I'm like, now let's get some of these, and I rotate them.
Yeah. Well, you can do that. You can rotate them. So there again, if you're transitioning careers, then you would rotate them, but don't do too much moving and whatever. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't actually pay a lot of attention to that, and I don't actually spend a lot of time. And I do need to revise. I am in the midst of revising mine, but I will add that one thing that has helped me too has just been noticing like what catches my eye and what draws my interest. Not to say that that's necessarily what will draw the interest of a recruiter, but noticing what makes people stand out and what doesn't, and then noticing when it takes me a lot of work to get to the bottom of understanding what's going on, because I think the reality is we check out pretty quickly with our attention these days. So that's been helpful. And even with the keywords, like you say, right? Like looking at what people who do similar things to myself, what kind of skills they're putting, what kind of keywords, those are kind of things that because keywords are not something that come easily to my mind, but
that's right.
Just what other people use helps.
And I have an ebook on my website of all keywords in about 31 different industries, so people can download that for free. Coming back to the professional experience, your work experience, you can put all your presentations, you can put media. So if you've created a video or you've created presentations, you can put all that on there as well. So the thing that I want to see if I was a recruiter is you're not dead on LinkedIn. So I want to see you active even when you're gainfully employed. Now, this is very, very important. I'll give you quite a few examples here. Well, I'll give you one. Just recently, I had a client who I worked with 8 years ago. And I told him, when you get gainfully employed, you still need to be on LinkedIn, not as aggressive as when you were in career transition, but share and create your own content. And I can talk a little bit about that in a minute. But so he didn't. He was dead. And then suddenly I saw him on LinkedIn, not just once, not just twice, not just 3 times, 4 or 5 times a day. So I picked up the phone and I said, "Hi, Mike, how are you?" And he said, "Do you remember me? I wrote your resume and did your LinkedIn profile years ago." And he said, "Oh, yeah." And I said, "You've just been terminated, haven't you?" He said, "Well, how do you know?" And I said, "Well, I haven't seen you on LinkedIn for 8 years. Do you remember we had that conversation?" "Oh, yeah." Something came to, yeah. And now I see you. And that's how I can tell you're in career transition, because you were dead. Dead to the ground. I hadn't seen any activity, 0. And I actually looked at his activity, because that's a measure that recruiters or HR professionals look for when they're looking for talent. How active are you on LinkedIn when you're gainfully employed?
Yeah,
and they can see that.
That's what brought me back. Was now I'm getting it again. Was career transition. I don't know what's going on. Nothing's changed. Well, everyone listening, let me know if this is too. Oh, it seems gone now. Okay, so I just wanted to move on. Imran has a question here, which actually was a question I had about LinkedIn at one point that I don't think I got an answer to. So thank you for this. If I just finished a course that gives me a certificate, where would I add that?
So you put that under education, which falls at the bottom of the profile. So underneath your skill sets, you then have foundations. So you need to have, education comes above, but you need to have your education. Make sure you have all your education on there, and try. I know it's a never-ending topic, but if you've got recent education, put the date. I mean, if you've got past education going back to the 70s or 80s, I understand why you're not doing that. But recent education, yeah, put it in. And recruiters and HR professionals are always looking for you to update your skills. That's another criteria they're looking at.
Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a personal advantage here and ask you the question I had. So I'm a member of a women-owned of an association, Certified Women Business Enterprises Canada, WEB Canada. So it's an association that promotes supplier diversity for women, and I put that under licenses and certifications. It's sort of a certification, I guess. You need to apply. Is that the right spot for it to be in? I didn't know where to put that.
No, there is a section called memberships and alliances or something.
Oh.
So you can open up new section. Let me see if I can find it on here.
I don't think any of the associations I'm a part of. I don't know.
Yeah, so you can put your caps and things like that.
That's
organizations.
Oh, well, look at that. Okay, I'll stop hijacking the live. I appreciate that.
2,000 characters for organizations. So that's where you would put it.
Not in that many organizations. I don't have time for that many characters.
If you were a chair, or you're a treasurer of the chapter in Montreal or wherever, you can put that there, because what does that tell an employer at the other end? Well, he's been selected by his peers as a treasurer or the chair.
Yeah, so I did put that under volunteer board experience, because I figured that was volunteer. Yeah. But okay, let me get back to the listeners' questions instead of mine. So Bill here is asking, are there specific criteria one should use to determine who someone should ask for a recommendation on LinkedIn? That's a great question.
Oh yeah, okay. So I know Bill well. Okay, so recommendations. That's another red flag. So when somebody's hiring, when somebody's looking for talent, they get a talent pool. And then they start scaling it back. And one of the red flags on LinkedIn is you have 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 recommendations. So you need to have recommendations. Now, who should you have and how many? My recommendation as a professional coach would be that you have 5 per position. Most recent position. So if you had 5 positions, that would be 25. So I would say who would they be? Try and get one from your boss. I know that's not always feasible. Try and get one from somebody lateral to you, somebody on your level. Try and get one from an employee, and then one from a supplier / vendor, and another one from a customer / client. And if you can do that, that really solidifies your candidacy. The more the merrier, but don't go over the top and have hundreds and whatever. But it is a good selling point for me, because I got 130, I think, or 128. But for entrepreneurs, it's a real good selling point. If you're umming and ahhing about, well, should I engage you? Well, just take a trip through my LinkedIn profile and go review the recommendations. That's what I tell my clients.
I'm in the guilty category of someone who is not getting echo again here. Not put very much effort into that. So
it is a valuable tool, valuable part of the overall sales proposition. And again, it's just fill it all out. Fill it out from top to bottom. There are so many sections.
And I like what you're saying about getting them from different perspectives, because I think it then gives a really holistic view of how you are with people at different levels. And I really like that.
And don't just take, also give as well. So you need to give them as well as accepting them, taking them.
Yeah, I think there's nothing better than getting unsolicited feedback just spontaneously, right? That's the best thing So I think that's and I think it often, not that the person necessarily is going to reciprocate with, but I think it's just that whole karma, sets a good tone. I like that. So again, I just want to give everyone a chance. If you have any more questions, please go ahead and share here, or even if I don't know. I think I could probably, even if somebody wants a quick review of their LinkedIn profile, I can probably pull it up here and
Oh,
ask
sure. Yeah.
feedback. So I'll let people share if that's of interest to anyone, because I can get on your profile quickly and just, I think, easily screen share that. In the meantime, you had mentioned premium. Do you want to speak a little bit? Because I think we've kind of gone through the profile.
Yeah. So at the bottom of the profile, I just want to talk about this as a very, very important tool that people ignore or don't even know about.
Probably why I thought we were done, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is, that's it. But you scroll right the way down, and there's a little blue button. I can't remember exactly what it says, but you just click on that, and then it opens up. And one of the places you need to be active on, because remember, you are a brand. You are selling yourself, and even when you're gainfully employed, you are selling yourself. Not just when you're in career transition. Is groups. Now, groups, there are gazillions of them. So if you want to join a group, then just type in the word where you are, Lindsay, Montreal. I bet there are 200 groups just in Montreal, but you need to define them. You don't want to join certain groups. You probably want to join within your defined area. So join groups. Now, I would suggest you in Word create an introduction. So say, hi, my name is Martin Buckland. I'm an executive career management practitioner, blah, blah, blah. And then talk about, because I join mining groups, I join in my particular area, EMBAs, mining, senior executives. And you all the viewers here today, this evening, have particular areas where they are experts. So go and look at the groups and then join them and introduce yourself to those groups and become active in those groups. I want to tonight promote that you need to be active on LinkedIn. Content sharing, as they call it. You can publish your own articles on LinkedIn. If you've gone through a difficult project where you resurrected your company, tell the world that if it's ability to open it up to the world. It's not confidential. You can publish. You can make comments on other people's blogs or posts. And always say, if you see Joe Blow, who used to work for 10 years ago, get a new job, congratulate him, because you never know when he's going to be hiring, and you bring your name back into his mind. So connect with your old colleagues. I've had several of my clients connect with their colleagues from about 10 or 15 years ago, even when they were an employee, but now they've moved up above and they are now in a hiring position, and they've opened up opportunities just by reconnecting with somebody they worked with 10 or 15, even 20 years ago. But share content, create content. Download pictures. If you in your trade magazines, you all have trade magazines. The bottom of that article in the trade magazine has a little button: LinkedIn share, Facebook share, Twitter share. Click on that if it's interesting, and you're marketing yourself as an expert. This is a really good article on project management in the aerospace industry during COVID or something. And what do you think? And then solicit people's thoughts, and you get dialogue going. And then that helps with you being pushed up the rankings within LinkedIn and Google, etc. So they don't want to see dormant profiles. They want to see you active. Yeah, when you're gainfully employed, you've got a lot of time. You haven't got too much time on your hands. But when you're in career transition, you need to live on LinkedIn.
Well, and you and I were talking before we went live about how I'm fairly active on LinkedIn usually, very consistently. I create content very consistently, but I also exchange with people very consistently. In the past 2 months being a bit nutty over here, I made the decision to step back a bit, and still have been putting content out. I'd say probably 5 times a week. If not more, but not spending as much time engaging. And it's disheartening to me, to be honest, how in 2 months, how much that affects leads and how much that affects, your visibility. And I say disheartening, yes and no, in that I also trust that, as things settle and I come back, you've built relationships that are still there. But all that to say how much I think that being engaged. I guess what I'm trying to say is you get out of it what you put into it, is
No, exactly.
my observation, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. So,
but don't saturate it. There's a fine line between being active and then saturating it all the time. You don't want to hog it. But yeah, you need to be active, and then and you need to start connect. So the trick is, if you want to go and work for ABC company or XYZ company, you need to start following people in that company. Well, you need to follow the company, and then you need to start following or uncover the person who will be your boss or your boss's boss, because they will be the final decision maker in hiring you. And with hidden jobs so big, like here in Canada, hidden jobs are 80% of all the jobs that are available here in Canada right this minute. So in other countries, it's less. Canada has the most. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. But yeah, so if you want to go and work for ABC company, you need to, and you're an operations manager, you need to look for the director of operations or the vice president of operations, and you need to start opening dialogue with them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I see too that when the dialogue is opened in a, how do I say this? In a non, hey, I need you to serve my needs right now today kind of way, it works better.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Don't blast the world, I'm looking for a job.
Right.
No, that's not the way to go about it. Be polite, be tactful and diplomatic. I've always wanted to work for your company. I'd like to have 10 minutes of your time talking about what the opportunities and how I would apply.
Yeah. And I find people are relatively open on the platform to those kind of things. If your ask isn't, it's always, in my mind, it's always that the relationship has to justify, well, not always, it depends on the ask, but you don't go in with an ask that is so big that somebody's not going to give you that much time. But when the ask is not that significant, I find that at first, before there's a lot of relationship, I find people are pretty generous on the platform. Yeah.
And people have already been through career transition will understand that, because they had to do that this way, and now you're doing it the other way. So they understand, well,
they're giving back.
It is actually to have a Zoom call or a Teams call, or whenever we can meet in person for a cup of coffee. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so I just want to give everyone one last chance. If you have any questions for Martin, if you want him to look at anything in your profile, we'll be wrapping up here probably in the next, I'd say 8 or so minutes. And then I guess just while, any last questions may be coming in, can you speak a little bit then to premium and to the benefits of that, so people can kind of consider whether that
sure
is of interest to them?
So it allows you the benefit that is the most is you can, well, two are you get more in mail. So internally within the body, the platform, you can in mail somebody. So that gives you more. I think it's 20 per month. And then also, this is crucial, you can see who's visited your profile. Whereas if you aren't, you get very vague. Well, it may be a recruiter. You don't get that it's Joe, the recruiter. So and then I'm very proactive. Anybody who visits my site, and I was telling you before, I was on I have my own Facebook Live, and yesterday I got 80 just from Facebook Live, 80 extra hits. So I emailed those 80 to say thanks for visiting my profile and things like that. But it's a relationship building platform. Build relationships. We are in a society where relationships are crucial. Without relationship building, your personal life and your career life will fall apart or won't progress as much as you want. So be a relationship builder.
Yeah, I like that you're saying the focus there is on relationship, because that's been my experience too, that creating relationships, and I might have said this when speaking with you before, that where I didn't exactly know where that was going to go, right? When it started out, or, I didn't have a strategic goal of, I want to meet this person because I know they can introduce me to so-and-so, or I know they've worked here and I want to get in, nothing on the profile that jumped out to me as, hey, I can use this person. And I'm not saying that that's my approach, but, and yet you develop a relationship, and of course they have connections and they get to trust you, and it opens doors that you didn't even know to ask for sometimes, right? They're the ones coming to you saying, hey, I want to introduce you to so and so because I like your work and I think they could benefit from this. So it's the power of that relationship, those relationships, is huge.
Well, we're in a network society. If you don't network, you're gonna have problems when you need to look for your next opportunity.
Yeah. I guess that's the big takeaway here, right? To be on LinkedIn, making sure your profile is up to date, your resume is up to date, and that you're networking sort of proactively, I guess, rather than waiting.
And it's not a
Waiting to
numbers
need it.
game. I don't think it's a
That's a
numbers
good
game.
point.
It's quality. So, I mean, I'm very particular on who I connect with. I mean, I turn away 20 people a day because I have so many people, but I refer them, well, why don't you become followers? So my followers is way up compared to the people I'm connected with. In fact, I'm now starting to run out of connections. I'm hitting that 30,000 anytime now. Yeah.
Probably the closer that you get, the more particular you get. I would think.
Exactly. Yeah. But I want it to be so if a recruiter or an HR professional is looking for talent within the EMBAs or mining, then they can use my database, my connections there.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, when when it is just about numbers, like even let's say, because I'm not very much just about numbers, but if it is even on the other person's behalf, I used to just sort of accept with no discernment because I figured out, I don't care. But what I realized there's no, like, nothing will ever come of that because we've never interacted. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do.
Right.
Why even bother? It's a number to show, and
Sure.
whereas you could use that to build a relationship with someone else. So I mean, I'm very relational, obviously, because of the work I do. So
Yeah, sure.
that
And
makes
I
a lot
have
of
to be.
sense to
Well,
me.
yeah.
Yeah. But to me, it's the way that um, it serves in the long term for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, so I guess no one has any other questions. So I guess I'll just give you one last chance. Is there any, anything in particular at the end here that you want to share that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I just please, follow what I've just said. Fill your profile out. Have a picture. Customize your LinkedIn URL. Have recommendations. Use all those keywords to the maximum. Use groups and use it proactively and professionally because you are a professional and people make their first impression. Don't put politics. Don't put religion on there. There are other platforms where you can do
I am
that.
so all about that. I'm sorry. I have to say that is so what I am all about. But it's also, I think, part of my brand is speaking up about social. Well,
Yeah,
not
well,
that I'm not terribly political in religion, but
social
I do
justice.
speak up about a
Yeah,
lot of things.
I have to be careful because I work globally and whatever. But
Yeah.
social justice is a bit different from traditional politics and religion. I think anyway. But
Yeah. I agree.
yeah.
I don't speak about religion, but I probably bring a more personal twist to LinkedIn than I think most are comfortable with, but it's also part of the change I'm trying to make in the world. So I figure I got to
Well,
live
if
my
you're part of
brand.
your
I got to be me.
it's part of your brand. If it's part of your brand, then do it. But it's not part of my brand because I'm trying to be apolitical because I'm helping people across the world. Yeah.
Well, and I'm also not looking for an employee position or an executive,
No,
an exec position. So obviously very different. But I also do believe that when, I'm seeing a lot of organizations, large corporations, really stepping into sharing their beliefs. Now, I'm not going to necessarily say that that what's happening internally is always aligned, and I'm not going to get into that all right now. But it does feel like a step in the right direction, at least in terms of then other people being able to share those beliefs on social media and not fear to not be able to get a position anywhere. So I feel like things are starting to I don't know what the word is, but shift a bit in that regard. But I think we've got a ways to go.
In the last year, definitely, yeah. But don't slam people. Don't be rude.
Totally.
Or whatever. It's a professional platform. Don't, because it's first impressions count. And remember that people, if they're hiring you, they can scroll through all your history, your sharing history for a long time. If you've got some unsavory, rude comment or sharing or whatever on there, that could be a black mark against you.
For sure. I think it's what drew me to LinkedIn so much. I mean, yes, for business reasons, but personally is you can debate points of view. You can, not that it sometimes gets off, but much more respectfully, because people are afraid of what people will say, and they behave themselves. Everyone behaves themselves a little bit better, right? Rather than taking their claws out when people disagree. However, I do sometimes see things that I just think, whoa, like I'm shocked you dare say things like that.
No, sure, yeah.
On a platform like this, just anyhow, I've seen some really homophobic or just things that I think, wow.
But they are starting to ban people as well. LinkedIn are starting to ban people who go well over to the left or the right and whatever.
Yeah.
So it could, but it gives you
common sense, though,
really to market yourself as an expert. Most of you are an authority or an expert in something. So use this platform to attract career decision makers, because even though you're happy in your job, there is no such thing as a full-time permanent job. Every job, in my view, is a temporary job. So tomorrow or the week after or the week after that, you can be laid off, terminated, canned, whatever you want to call it. So you need to manage your career, and LinkedIn is a professional platform for you to articulate your promise of value, who you are, what you can do, and your expertise, and then let them decision makers make their choice at the other end.
Yeah, and potentially open up doors you didn't even expect to get opened. I think I think that's one of the most powerful things of it. So yeah. Well, thanks, Martin, for coming on by today. So I will share your website again here for anyone who wants to reach out to you for a review, mini review of their LinkedIn profile or resume. You can reach out to Martin here at analyteresume.com. Do you want me to share your other website here?
Yes, please. Yeah, sure.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay. And also embacareercoach.net. You can find Martin there also. So I invite you to go and connect with him, obviously, on LinkedIn if you aren't already, and check out his work and reach out to him if you're interested in a review. So that's all. Thanks, Martin, for your time.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Yeah, I'm more than happy to give anybody a 30-minute, no obligation resume critique and a LinkedIn audit. I do say it as it is because, as we said, first impressions count. You can't afford one mistake. So I'm more than happy. Just send it to me, and then mention that you were on this podcast, and then I will expedite it for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm just going to peek over and see who we have. So in 2 weeks, I'm skipping next week, but in 2 weeks on April the 21st, you can join us back here. We're going to be talking with Christy Scarrow. We're going to be talking, I didn't look up the topic, but something around conflict and decision-making is the topic. So you can join us here in 2 Wednesdays, 6 p.m. So we'll see everyone back in a couple of weeks, and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.